The last video of the series of completing the charging up, charging down activity is going to be for the extensions. And what the extension is going to do is it's going to run you through the steps for having the calculator come up with a model for your data instead of you having to just type in random numbers for K until you get there. And so the calculator is able to do that for you if you follow the steps in extensions number 1. So what it says here is that an appropriate model for the data is an exponential. And so you can basically tell the calculator to find an exponential model based on the data you collected. And all the steps are right here printed on your directions page. What I'm going to do is show you what it's going to look like when you do that on the GCalc. So again, I'm going to go to my graphing calculator, and we have our regular screen here, and we're going to go through the steps of coming up with an exponential model for your data. If you haven't already, go ahead and push second quit to get to the home screen. That gets us here, and we're going to go through the series of buttons that are listed on your directions, and the first one there says to press the stat button. The stat button is right here in the middle of the calculator up towards the top, and it brings up this screen, and we want to highlight calc by pushing the right arrow. And these are all the different calculations you can do with your data. Quadratics, linear, quartic, natural log, and we want an exponential one. So that's number 0. You could type number 0 or arrow down to 0 and push enter. And that's going to give us our exponential regression that it's going to do for us. And what we have here is we want to make sure that the x's that the calculator uses are the ones that are in the first list, or L1, and the y's are in L2. And what's nice is that that should already be set up for you, because that's what that EasyData program did when you quit from there. It said that the time is L1 and the voltage is L2, and that's what we want. So you can just arrow down to where it says store regression equation. Where do you want the equation to go once you get it? And you can make this equation automatically show up in the y equals menu if you tell the calculator to put it into the y equals menu. And how you do that is listed in your steps. It says to push the vars button here by the arrow keys. And because we want it to be y1, it's a y vars, so we arrow over to the right. And we want to graph a function. You don't want to graph any of the other ones. So we'll just choose number 1 or enter. And let's store the equation as y1. It'll just type it in there. It'll get rid of your old one, and it'll keep your data and show you this new function. So you can choose number 1 or enter, and it gives you this screen. This is what you want to see. X list L1, Y list L2, no need for frequency. Store regression equation is y1, and then you can move the cursor down to highlight calculate. And what you're going to do is you're going to press enter, and the calculator is going to come up with an equation for you. But like you see in your directions, or in your data table where you're writing your answers, this is in the form of y equals ab to the x. This regression equation is y equals ab to the x. And you had numbers, you had a v number, you had a k number that you used. So it's a slightly different style of equation. But my hope is that you can see where the similarities are, how the two are related. And so don't do anything from this. We want to make sure we write these down, especially for question 2 underneath the extensions. Make sure you write down what your A is and what your B is. And you're going to compare that to what your V is and what your K is. Now, if you used your own data, that's going to be easy. But if you're using a calculator with someone else's data, you want to write down what that V and that K, what those are, so that you can compare not to your data in the data table, but the data that was in the calculator. And this gives you that equation. So write these down, and then you can graph to see your graph. Here is what your data would look like. Your list of data points is being graphed first, and then what's going to happen is your equation that the calculator just came up with is going to be graphed right on top of it. and you can see that the calculator comes up with a darn good equation to fit your data. And that's how you can come up with that equation. All of a sudden now the calculator did it for you instead of you having to figure it out. And you can answer the questions that remain on extension 1 and extension 2, the ones that ask you whether the model provides a good fit and relating the A and V value and the B and K value. And that's what's going to help you out to finish this up. Try that, finish up the questions, and get that assignment done.